On the night of October 30th, 1993, a young man, just 23 years old, walked into a Hollywood club. He was a star, a once-in-a-generation talent with a depth that memorized the world. His name was River Phoenix, and that night, River wasn't shining on stage or dazzling on a movie screen. Instead, he was caught in a web of chaos, darkness, and tragedy. What unfolded outside the Viper Room, that infamous club on Sunset Boulevard, is the kind of story that Hollywood would script, but never dare to release. It's a tale of addiction, pressure, fame, and fragility. At just 6:51 AM, the news broke. River Phoenix was dead. In those few moments, the world didn't just lose a star. It lost a symbol of purity, rebellion, and raw artistry. What really happened that fateful night? Was it a tragic accident, a warning about the excesses of fame, or something darker lurking beneath the surface? Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today I just want to talk to you about River Phoenix, his life, his early life in the Children of God cult, and then moving on to sort of his early stardom, and then that fateful night in the Viper Room. So if you're interested in River Phoenix, please stick around, give a like and comment below, and let's crack on. So, River Phoenix was born in 1970 on August 23rd in Oregon as River Jude Bottom. His parents, Arlen and John Bottom, counterculture idealists. They were the classic 60s hippies. They named him River after the River of Life in Herman Hesse's Siddhartha, but he named him also after Jude from Hey Jude by the Beatles. River's early years were very unconventional. His family moved frequently a lot, living in cars and communes, trying to raise modern way of living that seemed to evolve at around that time. A sort of Manson-esque style way of living, often in extreme poverty. So eventually the Bottom family joined a controversial religious group called the Children of God, which was a sect that was known for its disturbing practices and often including sexual exploitation. They moved down to Venezuela, and after several years they became disillusioned with the way River admitted in interviews that he was exposed to inappropriate such situations as a child, which profoundly affected him. He reportedly stated that he was sexually abused, losing his virginity at only the age of 4, though but rarely discussing it in public. He would channel this raw emotion that he got from his childhood into his performances, which is clear for any viewer. Disillusioned by the group's practices, they left in the late 1970s and moved to Florida, adopting the surname Phoenix to symbolise rebirth, that they were becoming new people, they were going to change their way of life and become a normal-esque family. In Florida, to sort of get money, River and his siblings, so they were Rain, Joaquin, who you'll know, Liberty and Summer, they performed on the streets for money, singing and playing guitar. That was a way for them to make money, but River also said that he was very passionate about music from a very young age, and this was a very good way for him to sort of start out in that industry. Them being hippies, I'm sure music was a big part of their life in any of the communes or wherever they went. But River's talent very early on caught the attention of some talent scouts, and it led to some very early roles in certain commercials and TV shows. They eventually decided to move to Los Angeles to sort of help River's acting career, but it was his breakout moment in the 1986 film Stand By Me, where his deeply emotional performance as Chris Chambers showcased his incredible potential. Just going over some of his acting highlights, some of what we've got here. Some of his biggest performances was Stand By Me, Running on Empty, where he played Danny Poe, teenager on the run for his family. It earned him his one and only Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor at only 18. He was the 6th youngest person to ever be nominated for an Academy Award. And My Own Private Idaho, which was an iconic Gus Van Sant film, and his performance as Mike Waters, which was a narcoleptic street hustler, is considered one of his best. And in that, he won the Venice Film Festival's Best Actor Award. So like I mentioned earlier, acting wasn't his only passion. He also loved music, and he would often put music first before acting, using his fame and notoriety in order to make waves in the music industry at the time. He formed a band called Aleka's Attic with his sister Rain. One of the big things about River was that he was a very outspoken environmentalist and a vegan. He used his fame to support causes like rainforest preservation and animal welfare, earning a reputation as a very sensitive and conscientious young man. First girlfriend Martha Plimpton once ordered shellfish at a restaurant that they were having in New York. When he saw that he'd ordered that, he left the restaurant, and she found him later on a park bench, crying because he couldn't understand the feeling of wanting to eat meat. Despite his success and everybody wanting to be part of wanting him in all their projects, he didn't like Hollywood. He found it shallow and hypocritical, and he really didn't like being a public figure. You've got to understand, River Phoenix had such an unconventional childhood. He wasn't ever going to be used to the kind of fame and attention that so many of the other people in Hollywood were desperate for. He'd been broken. He'd not been raised the normal way. He didn't understand how to cope with such love and adoration in that respect. He hadn't had the stable upbringing. It had all happened also very quickly for him. With River Phoenix obviously came a lot of wealth, and he felt an obligation to help support his family. He even bought them 2 ranches, one in Florida and one in Costa Rica, so that they were able to sort of live off his money, and they relied a lot on him to provide for them. Seeing as they were hippies, it was very unconventional that they would go out and get a normal job. Like I mentioned when they moved to Florida, kids were out on the street busking and performing, trying to get money in for the family, so it was a very, very, again, unconventional childhood. And River Phoenix didn't like the pressure that being in Hollywood put on his shoulders. This can go to a lot of controversy, but I'll just sort of go through the facts that we've got as of now. River's drug use reportedly began during his teenage years, specifically while filming My Own Private Idaho. On set there, he was introduced to hard drugs such as cocaine and heroin. Coming from a hippie family like that, he'd been exposed to weed on these communes, so that, I suppose, will have always been a part of his life, though I am only just theorising here. He kept his struggles hidden from the public. He wanted to maintain a clean-cut image in order to help getting him roles and keep further building his career. Friends always described him as a deeply private individual who struggled with inner demons. He regularly battled anxiety and self-doubt. Pressures of fame and the weight of his family's reliance on him only exacerbated that. He found inner peace in music and political activism, but he found it very difficult to escape the dark aspects of Hollywood party culture. Let's talk about the night of his death. So John Frusciante, the Red Hot Chili Peppers lead guitarist, and River, several days before the night of his death, went on a drugs binge that lasted several days. They were due to arrive at the Viper Room on October 30th, 1993. The Viper Room was a club that was owned by Johnny Depp at the time, who was a friend of River's. The idea was they were going to all play together as a supergroup in order to bring in Halloween. River arrived that night with his girlfriend at the time, Samantha Mathis, and his siblings Joaquin and Rain. Inside the club, River consumed a lethal combination of cocaine and heroin, known as a speedball. Witnesses suggested that he may have also ingested Valium as well that night, or whether that had been a few days, a day or two previous, we don't know. Accounts will still differ on whether River actually took the drugs voluntarily or was handed them by someone at the club. It was also reported that River got into an altercation with the man in the club, and security was also trying to kick him out, so he was very heightened. His anxiety was a lot. He'd obviously taken a lot of drugs. His state of awareness was all over the place. He was trying to, he could tell he was in a panic and a movement, and I think that altercation just symbolises what his mind was going through at that time. That would ultimately be his final hours. At approximately 1 o'clock in the morning on October 31st, River began convulsing violently outside the nightclub. Witnesses described him shaking uncontrollably and eventually falling unconscious. Joaquin Phoenix, then only 19, made a desperate 911 call.
How old is he?
He's 23.
Stay on the line with me and calm down a little bit, all right?
Yeah, I'm calm, but he's having seizures. Get over here, please. You must get over here, please.
Okay, take it easy, okay?
Okay, no, I think he had Valium or something. I don't know. Please, because he's dying, please.
It's just horrible, isn't it? Just so haunting. For him to have to go through that, for having to actually ring 911 and see potentially his dead brother there in front of him, that's just absolutely traumatic. And it's incredible, and I'm sure that Joaquin Phoenix has used his own inner demons to further his career and build up on that, as he's such an acclaimed actor now. It often makes you wonder what River Phoenix could have been. Rain, while he was on the sidewalk, was attempting CPR while they were waiting for the paramedics, but River was showing absolutely no signs of life. So the paramedics arrived within minutes, and they transported him to the Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, but despite all their efforts, River was pronounced dead at 1:51 a.m, so only 51 minutes after he apparently collapsed. So as expected, the Phoenix family was completely devastated by the news. Joaquin and Rain both struggled to cope with the loss, and Joaquin took a hiatus from acting at the time in order to deal with it. Many of River's close friends, such as Flea, John Frusciante, and Johnny Depp, expressed shock and complete sorrow. When Johnny Depp still owned the nightclub, the Viper Room, he would always close it on October 31st in memory of River. But it was ultimately the reflection of Hollywood's darker side that the press jumped on. It was a wake-up call for Hollywood, exposing the real true dangers of drug culture. Gus Van Sant, the director of My Own Private Idaho, said that Phoenix was only a casual drug user and just had one bad night. However, though, his first girlfriend, Martha Plimpton, who he met on the Mosquito Coast, said that the breakdown of their relationship was due to his regular drug use. So there's differing accounts. Everyone wants to look at River in a certain light, that he just had one bad night. Maybe he was regularly using these hard drugs in order to cope with his own inner demons. Party culture in early 90s Hollywood as well will have been very on top, very a lot to deal with, and he will have also felt that in order to keep his career going, to be seen in these certain places, he'll have had to keep going, and in order when you're exhausted and tired, that the only way to keep going is by taking these drugs. But the media frenzy that followed his death deeply affected the Phoenix family, and they were painting him as a character the best not to be remembered at the start, just another Hollywood junkie dead on the side of the road. But River was a lot more than that, and the press did him a disservice in those early days, and definitely time has helped shine a light on what he could have been. A lot of people in the industry at the time have come out and said that he could have been one of the biggest actors in the world, if not the biggest. Leonardo DiCaprio, his role and his status in Hollywood could potentially have been taken by River Phoenix, who in some people's view was a far more capable actor than he was. So nobody knows whether he took the drug voluntarily or whether he was given it and forced to do it. It's unlikely he was forced if he was still into the drug culture, but I can definitely imagine a level of peer pressure involved if someone says, oh, go on River, take this, do this. I can see him being sort of pushed into a corner, and if he was already coming down from a drug binge and he was already out with his friends and he was partying and he saw his friend did it, it's very likely that he took it of his own accord, but feeling a certain level of pressure. Samantha Mathis, in the Gavin Edwards' book The Viper Room, blamed Chili Peppers guitarist John Frusciante for giving him the weird mixture and saying that he was the one that did that, and after that he took a little bit of time away from Hollywood while the heat died down. John Frusciante was a very well documented drug user at that time. River Phoenix today is now remembered as a profoundly talented actor whose career was cut tragically short. His performances in Stand By Me, Running on Empty and My Own Private Idaho remain iconic. He's become a symbol of unfulfilled potential and a cautionary tale for the pressures of fame and the dangers of substance abuse. The Viper Room subsequently has become infamous for its association with death, cementing its place in Hollywood lore. River Phoenix's life and death continue to resonate, a poignant reminder of the fragility of the genius and human cost of the Hollywood spotlight. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Again, a little bit shorter than what I'm used to. Just wanted to talk to you a little bit about River Phoenix and get a little bit of an idea of what he was and how his death actually happened outside the Viper Room on that fateful night. So please like and subscribe, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.